Getting rid of my BBC license. Fed up of the BBC dehumanizing the Palestinians.
From the start of the onslaught on Gaza and the genocide against thousands of children, women and men, the BBC has done nothing but lie and cover up for the crimes of the Zionists and decontextualize the 75-year-old plight of Palestine.
By BBC and the mainstream media for 75 years. You bring us here whenever there are Israelis who are killed. Did you bring me here when many Palestinians in the West Bank, more than 200 over the last few months?
We need information that is accurate at a time where people are dying in their thousands.
At a time where they've increased their efforts to exterminate the Palestinians that they call human animals, using atrocity propaganda as the latest justification, which the BBC is still spreading at the behest of the Foreign Office.
The Israelis today are saying that Hamas use Palestinians as human shields. Do they?
License fee payers will be morally aiding and abetting what many scholars are calling genocide.
Killing the victims, then blaming the victims for killing themselves, like Hamas rocket on the hospital, like Shireen Abu Akleh was killed by a Palestinian, remember your colleague, the journalist, blaming the victims for killing themselves, and then when all that doesn't work, then the victims are using children for human shield.
On the 16th of October, they had a headline that said, "Does Hamas build tunnels underneath schools and hospitals?" 24 hours later, the Israelis bombed a hospital, killing more than 500 men, women and children. They absolutely massacred and butchered them. This is how the BBC provide cover for the Israelis.
I hope the BBC will now share this investigation and those countries will listen to the BBC.
The BBC has covered Israel's genocidal assault on Gaza by sidelining pro-Palestine voices and amplifying pro-Israel voices, beating the drums for a genocidal war against our brothers and sisters in Gaza.
Do you condemn the rocket attacks by Hamas?
And you won't condemn Hamas for killing civilians?
How many times you have interviewed Israeli officials, Louise? Hundreds of times. Hundreds of times. How many times Israel have committed war crimes right live on your own cameras? Do you start by asking them to condemn themselves? Have you? You don't. You don't. No, I'll answer that question. You don't.
I've decided to boycott the BBC and disconnect live TV altogether. I don't want my money to pay for state propaganda. And as far as I'm concerned, the BBC is complicit in endorsing this onslaught.
That's why many people of conscience from all walks of life are objecting to this and refusing to fund the BBC.
I don't see why I should fund an organisation to the tune of £159 per year, an organisation which misrepresents, twists and ignores the views of Muslims here in the UK.
We accept that this was poorly phrased and was a misleading description of the pro-Palestinian demonstrations.
If the BBC wants to give us propaganda on behalf of the Israeli state, then fine, that's up to them. But please don't expect us to pay for that propaganda through the licence fee.
There are around 4 million Muslims in this country. If they are going to encourage hostility towards Muslims, if they are going to encourage war on our Palestinian brothers and sisters, then we are going to stop funding them.
Boycott the BBC and hold them to account in the way that hurts them the most.
I won't be paying a licence fee, neither should you.
Boycott BBC, cancel your TV licence right now.